Welcome to the Pro Mindset Podcast. Join me, Craig Doman, as I interview both current and former NFL players, coaches, front office, and sports personalities as we dive into the mindsets, beliefs, headspace, and lifestyles that drive their successful careers. Hey, today on Pro Mindset, I've got a special young man, Anthony Trucks. Anthony, I want to welcome you to the show today.
Thank you. A few people can call me young
Holy,
man, and I like it. I'll take it.
You're a young man. You're buff. I know you're a duck, but you are buff for a man your age. So
well,
that's
thank you,
good.
Man. I played flag football a couple days ago, man. I still get down a little bit with these young guys. They got way too.
So you icing your hamstring this morning or what?
No, here's the funny. I told my wife, I mean, like my low back hurt for some because I always had low back issues. But like it's first off, it's like contact flag. So these cats are out there jumping, diving, they're tackling each other. Like I don't get involved with that because I'm not trying to get in fights. I don't got that much spunk anymore. Like these dudes are like battling every single. At one point, 30 minutes arguing straight. I just 30.
I believe it.
So yeah, but my body's good. My back hurt a little bit, but like muscular, I'm good, and my body feels back to normal. It's Wednesday, so Monday kind of sucked because I had to fly out. Tuesday was a little bit, but now, hey, 3 days later, I feel like it's like a regular game week. You can put me back in on Sunday, Coach.
Well, here's the thing that's funny about flag. It always ends up being tackle.
It does.
I mean, at some point in time, somebody decides to take somebody out.
Yeah.
Some type of cheap shot. Next thing you know, it becomes
these
a
leagues
tackle
they run,
game.
the leagues are normally, that's how they're designed. It's not like you did it accidentally. They're designed for contact. So if you go to stiff arm somebody to get space, it's now free to tackle you. And it's like rugby tackling. They're full out hitting you. So it's dangerous. To be quite honest, it's very dangerous. I don't even get involved. And there's some guys, they'll get a ball and they just turn and they run full speed like they have football pads on. I just get out of the way. Ain't nothing to prove. I'm gonna get your flag. I'm not gonna tackle you. I got no this.
So what positions are you playing? You playing two-way, both ways?
No, I'm not playing offense right now. I just go out there and play some D. I play linebacker and rush. I'll just rush every once in a while. I still got it though, man. I still get down and move around a little bit. I just feel it more than the rest of the guys. But I think offensively, we got a bunch of guys that run and go receiver. Let them go run around. I don't need to get extra tired for no reason.
Well, you're still younger than Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, that's true. I can still do it. But Tom Brady.
Can you imagine last year when he was 45?
Yeah, but he
dodging those young bucks.
Yeah, I guess a little big caught that. That man never really took off running, and when he did, it was like slow as the last. It was like uncomfortable slow watching him. You know, like sometimes you watch things, and like it's like when somebody does something weird, like you get the discomfort from embarrassment just by watching it. It's like watching him run out of the pocket with like that slow giraffe gait. It was like just weird to look at, but hey, he was out there active, dropping, getting it done, man. That's the greatest of all time, getting it done.
Well, I think if you looked at film from Brady's last year and Peyton Manning's last year, the biggest difference would be Brady acted cool. Peyton acted scared. He was scared to get hit.
Yeah, I get that.
He was like almost frantic about not getting hit.
Interesting.
Where Brady had an aura of confidence where he really wasn't worried about it.
Yeah, I can see that. It makes sense. It's true.
How's the boys doing?
Good. They're all doing a different. Actually, my oldest right now is up in Oregon. He's checking into his new, like on campus, not a dorm, but like it's on campus housing, like studio housing. So he's up there trying to talk grandma and get him tickets to the Buffalo game, but the Colorado Buffs and Oregon game. But he's like, he earned money in the summer, but his butt won't go buy himself a ticket for like $150. Like, that's why you work, son.
They don't get student tickets?
Well, they do, but the queue was like, as soon as I hit it, I was number 3,500 in line for tickets for the student. They don't get that many student tickets, right? So there's that. But the tickets are, they're about 180, 100, something like that to be able to use standing room only. And think for a seat, it's like $200. I'm like, bro, buy it. But he's good. My twins are good. Tatum, she's doing her thing. She asked me last night, Dad, can I get on Snapchat? I guess my wife had already said no. She thought I was on a break. And I was like, no. And so that was a whole fun conversation. And then my son, Torian, he's playing tackle football. And it's been an interesting journey with him, man, because I'm coaching the team. And so with him, the whole idea of daddy ball, which is like, I'm just going to let you go because you're my son. Oh, I don't even remotely close to that. If he started the season starting on offense and defense, 2 games ago, I pulled him off of both. I don't even have control of the offense. That was somebody else pulling him off. He asked if I could. I said, yes. He's not doing it. You don't ask me. You just do it. That's your side. Defensive, where I'm at, I'm a coordinator. I was like, bro, you got to get off. He was a liability to the team. Gave him a couple touchdowns. They were just doing horrible. So I took him off and had some interesting convos with him and talking him through kind of life and what I'm trying to get him to do. And if you want to go play at this level, like he wants to go play at Oregon, you can't do what you're doing. You got to be much more physical, much more astute. You got to pay more attention, and you're just not doing it. So I would be doing you a disservice if I let you keep going out there, not realizing you had to level up. So we did. And last game, he played a lot better, more physical, more, and then, so this is going to be an interesting week. We're playing maybe the second best team in our little league we have out here. So we'll see how he comes to show up, because he'll do well, one game, but like, can you be consistent? And can you show up when you're challenged? Like when someone stands back up against you and they come with all their all, can you bring more of what you have in you than you had before? Do you shut down? So we'll see how he kind of handles the challenge when it comes. Besides that, everything's good. Life's good. God's good. No complaints on my end.
Okay, so that's a foray into your mission right now is dark work.
It is.
And Torian has done the dark work.
Yeah.
I saw him this summer doing the dark work.
Yep, he was.
Why is it not showing up on the field?
That's a great question. And it's actually a great conversation to dive into for other people. I think you can do the work, but if you're not connected to a level of, I think two, one is the desire to compete, right? Because now that I have this in me, I have to make sure I compete with it. I can't. So I think some people have a thing of like, this can't be for nothing, right? It can't just be for nothing. And so for him, I don't think he has the desire to compete, because it's for him, like he did the work, but like, we're just doing it to do it. And I go, I don't think he connected to doing it for something later. He was doing it to do it, but I wasn't doing it for the game or for the practice or for that. So I think part of that's the thing. And then I find that some people, when challenged, don't know how to stand up for themselves. And I think that's one of his internal battles. Like when I was a kid, somebody challenged me. I don't care what it was. Like, we're fighting. Like, I'm going to stand up for myself. And I noticed it with him. Like if I go and I'll wrestle, grab him, to wrestle with him, he just goes limp. And I go, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, you're stronger than me anyways. I go, that's not the point though. It's not that you're going to lose, that you're going to find a way to win. And so for him, I think when he gets challenged, and he has that in the back, even if it's there's not this will to win, I think. So I'm still trying to find out how to get him to understand that. But it's interesting. You can have done the stuff, the work, but not have that same dog when it comes to the moment of it. But then it also ties to something else, which is the depth and difficulty of the dark work you do. Some people do a level of dark work that's comfortable at a certain level, going, I did some stuff in the dark, right? But when you are like torturing yourself to a level of, I don't want to do it. I forced myself to. I think the other two parts I just talked about, they disappear because you've done way too much to not have the outcome. But you have to go to that depth of difficulty. And I know, looking back at our sessions we did, I didn't really drive them like him in the group. I gave them the movements, and here we're gonna do this, we'll train. But it wasn't this like, let's go get that wall of, can I go past it, and push them past that wall consistently to where they question coming to the workout. Like I need them to question coming because they know how hard it's going to be. When they do that and they still show up, then you start to go to that depth where now you'll pull something deeper out of yourself when you need to later.
Well, I see two things. One is that everybody tells themselves a story. What's the story that Torian's telling himself? Because you always perform consistent and in alignment with your story.
You do.
And unless you change your story, you can't perform differently.
Yeah.
So he might have had this story. He might be still telling himself a story that he told himself before he started doing the dark work.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't updated his story.
It's very possible. 100% possible.
And the second thing I see is that everybody focuses on winning. Everybody wants to win. Everybody looks at the outcome. And if he doesn't think he can win against you, he quits.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me he's not focused on being his best. He's looking at what potentially is going to happen. And if I don't think I can win, I'm just not going to start.
It's possible. Well, 100%. That's kind of been a thing for him for years. My wife and I've talked to that too. Like he'll race really, really well. Like in track, he did All-American hurdler, and he would race in like the 400. He'd race so amazing against the kids he knew he could beat, and he would get PRs. But then the kids that he knew were a challenge or maybe even faster, he ran horrible times. Because when he knew I'm not going to win this, he doesn't give his all to win. Like, so it's the extra level to pull out of that. I don't know how you teach somebody that. You can talk to it, I can point it out, but teaching someone to have that dog is a different monster.
Well, I don't know how to teach it either. But here's a suggestion. Is it an outside-in game or an inside-out game? An outside-in game is when you're looking at your circumstances, looking at the opponent, looking at the competition, and then making a decision about how much you're going to give.
Mm-hmm.
The inside out game is you give everything you got every single time, and different days you're going to have different levels of effort, different levels of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't care who the competition is.
Yeah.
And he's playing an outside in game.
Yeah.
Because he's measuring up the competition. I mean, that's so different than, the most perfect example is like high school basketball. During warm-ups, the guys that play the outside in game, they look across the court during layups and see some guy do a 360 jam.
Get scared.
And all of a sudden, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. I can't cover him.
Yep.
And they don't even show up.
Yeah.
And then the other guy that's playing the inside out game doesn't care who's over there.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't care if LeBron shows up. I'm still gonna ball out.
I agree. That's me. That's how I was, dude. When I played high school ball way back in the beginning, like it always started for me. I used to have this my sister, they had like these leggings before they had the single arm sleeves. I did this back in the day. What I would do is if I had a white jersey, I'd get this black, my sister's black legging. I cut it off and I would put up my arm and I would tape it at the top, set up one arm. And then I was wearing a away jersey, with a black jersey, I wear a white one. And people go, "Why did you do that?" I said, I did it so that when I walked out, the other team could clearly see who I was. And I wanted their attention. Because I don't care who you are over there. I don't care what you got going on. I'm just going to do what I do. And when I get to do what I do, you can't stop me. And it was this thing of like, it doesn't matter who's there. I'm going to do my thing. And I wanted you to be able to like find me quick so you could keep your eyes on me. Because when you're focused on me, you ain't paying attention to practice, the plays, all that kind of stuff. So I was trying to like beat you before the game. I wanted to catch every ball. I wanted to look great. I was the guy at 360 dunk because I knew that was going on for these little punk kids. So I was the guy on the opposite of that. And it wasn't an arrogance thing. It was a confidence thing because I had done that stuff that nobody saw me do. And now I wanted you to be worried about me.
That's pretty cool. Well, you were a trendsetter before your time, man.
Yeah, man. I got pictures of it too. So I'm not making it up. Actually, back then, I'm surprised that that's a great business idea. Let's just put some sleeves on your arm. And sure enough, it worked. I don't think I knew anybody else who did it either, too. It was just a one sleeve. I think it was because I was so poor. I couldn't afford an actual full long sleeve, So I was like, I'll just put this little legging on because I can make it look kind of like it.
That's funny. Well, let's go more into dark work. Give the audience kind of an overview.
Yeah.
You've been through off shift and now you're into dark work. Kind of just teach us what it is.
Well, dark work's it's a concept that I just explained to some of the day, and I realized that there's a way I can explain it that's not super philosophical, and it actually is really easy. And then I can go to the level of like psychology and the neurology, and there's no need to do all that sometimes. But here's what it is. The concept is the work you do in the dark so you can shine in the light. That's it. The dark work. And what happens is a lot of people look at athletes, are enamored by them. You love what they do when they're in front of the lights, but you don't know what they do when they're in the dark. And what they do in the dark is why they shine in the light. So for all of us, when we aspire to something, the goal for me is not to go, well, how do I just get great? It's like, no, how do I do great? How do I do the things that no one else is willing to do? And I do it when no one's cheering me on, when no one's, giving me high fives, when it's hard and it's difficult. How do I do those things? Because those are what's going to equate to two things on the other side when I emerge into the light. The first thing is I develop an amazing skill set. No matter what it is, it becomes instinctual, becomes second nature. I don't got to process. I've been doing it so much, it's my new rhythm and routine. The other part is you develop this brazen confidence to deploy this new skill into the world. And so for me, I look at the way the world's trajectory is going is we're trying to find ways to make everything easy. How to make it all easy and simple and instant gratification, this whole flow. And I think it takes away from the allure and the sexiness of the difficult, dark work that people we are all enamored by are doing every day. We aspire to look at the athletes and watch what they're doing is right. They're who they are because of the things they do. And so this dark work concept is going back to that point of going, let's go back to the areas that really make amazing people amazing.
Well, something that I would say that happens when you don't do dark work is your ceiling on your performance is in alignment with the gifts that you're given.
True.
And so, if you and I are born with similar abilities and you're doing the dark work, at some point in time, there's going to be a divergence in our performance because you're developing your skills, you're developing your confidence, you're doing the hard stuff.
Yeah.
And when I face those same obstacles, I'm either going to quit, I'm going to fail because I'm not doing the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And the thing is, in those moments, it all comes to a culminating point of identity, which we can expand a little bit. We like to talk about that. It comes to a moment in time, which I call defining moment. And in that moment, you have a certain mentality. If you have what I call a dominator's identity, and that mentality is, I have done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. When that becomes your background, kind of just your operating foundation, no matter what's in front of you, you don't fall down to it. You don't back down from it. You don't settle up and just go out. You don't let it pass. You fight because you've done too much. You already deposited. You're going to get the return. It's like the whole investment bias. If I invest in something, I want a return. When I invest with the energy, the effort, the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears, my return is confidence and an ownership of, I deserve this. I'm not going to take less than what I deserve. And so for me, that's really what I'm trying to get people to have, is that mentality in those defining moments. So the things that make or break our lifetimes.
Let's go back to your son, Torian.
Let's do it.
He's not acknowledging potentially his investment.
No, he's not.
Because I would love to know on his team, if you lined up all the players, in order of who worked the hardest in the offseason, who got up the earliest, who did the hard stuff. He might be in the top 5, top 3. He might be
He'd be the top one.
He'd be it?
I know them all, yeah.
Top 1. Okay. So why does a guy that has done the most work not feel he deserves to show it?
It's a crazy question. I have no answer. That's the thing we battle with him. And it's funny because we just had a conversation last night in the car. And I was talking to him about the fact that you've got guys, because one of the kids in the car was saying the team were going to play like, oh, he's big. He's like 6'1". And I go, you realize that the size isn't what equates to their capabilities, right? Just because he's big doesn't. I said, we got a kid in the team that's really big, really soft. I said, so size, doesn't. I'll go, yeah. I go, so the thing is there's guys that, there's like a Tyrann Mathieu, right? They call him a honey badger, right? Small guys.
Yes.
I said, the reason that he is a Pro Bowler, a phenomenal all-star, is because of the fight within him. It's the things that don't equate to his size. It's just his dog, his mentality, his mind. And I said, you guys just have to find that little key and tap into it. Now you're saying, Torian, I don't know how to get him to tap into that because he's done that. We get up every day and do a morning routine that is us walking and doing a hike for 7 minutes up at the top of this hill. You can see around for miles. We pray, we do gratitude, we come back down, we do a cold plunge to our neck, 48-degree water, 2 straight minutes every single day. He's done that. He trained for 7 months straight while doing track. So lifting weights 3 times a week, 2 hours a day, and then training and track. They say he would go lift and then so all this stuff he's done, he gets to the football field and he lets guys just hit him. He doesn't make the tackles. He lets guys block him. I'm like, so why did you do all of that if you weren't going to fight for yourself right now? And how, like for me, it doesn't register logically for me. I've never understood that. It was never me. I've never been around guys like that, but past high school, but that was high school. So like, I don't understand how to navigate it. And I really wish he could do what you're saying, is like, realize, look, you've put all the work in, make it worth something.
Well, one of the things that pops in my mind is worthiness. Perhaps he doesn't feel like he's worthy. And,
Possible.
some players don't put in the work, but they feel worthy. And so they go out and they're game day players.
Yeah.
They just explode on game day. Mm-hmm. The coach can't get them to be focused during the week when they practice.
Yeah. And
it seems like Torian's got the opposite issue. And it's a lot of times it's, understanding that you are worthy.
Yeah.
You deserve this. You've earned this.
Yeah, we tell them.
And, so you're an identity expert. If anybody can figure it out, you will, but it's really an identity issue.
Oh, it is. It is. It's crazy. And I don't know if he's uncomfortable with the attention. Like he went to it was a Junior Olympics. And if you get the top 8 of whatever it is, you're an All-American. He got number 8 in the hurdles. He'd never done hurdles till all of a sudden this year. So now he's an All-American hurdler. And if you watch him on the podium when it came time, he was so uncomfortable. He couldn't wait to get off the podium. And we're like, dude, smile. He wouldn't. None of the pictures, he's smiling. He's kind of looking around like he's playing around. Like he does this when things get like tension filled, like when the game's on the line, it's like it's intense. He doesn't like to go to the intense point. What he does is he makes jokes and funny stuff to dispel some of the tension. He doesn't like to sit in the anchor. So there's a couple things of like, he doesn't let, and we've had arguments with my wife and I and him, like, look, you're robbing everybody of the opportunity to celebrate your success with you. When you don't care up there, we can't care. we want to care, but then you're kind of like running. You're just like, we get off the podium. He's 5 steps ahead of all of us to get to the car. Like, dude, stop and just revel in the moment of what you accomplished. Can't do it. He'll do great in a football game and then kind of like walk back, and everybody, the whole crowd's going crazy. He just doesn't doesn't even care. And so I don't know where the whole thing is, but part of him, I think, he doesn't want to. I think, like you said earlier, give all, because it's not who he is. Like, he just, it's like, it's not who I am. I don't really care too much. But I think he doesn't like to attach himself at a full identity to something, because if for some reason it failed, he would lose a sense of his full self. And I think it's a dance of his in and out with that. And I don't think he fully knows who he is. But he's also 14. I didn't know who I was at 14, So there's him navigating this whole thing. And I think a third dynamic is he's in a house of accomplished athletes. Like, we have a home standard for how we function, how we operate, how we show up, how we pray, like what matters to us. And he is one of us. And I think he's the only one that battles the consistency of doing these things, not from a standpoint of not wanting to be a good kid. That has nothing to do with it. But the level of what we hold ourselves to, like, he doesn't like to do it. He just wants to sit and chill and be on his phone, which it's a lot of fun to deal with that. But that's kind of the navigating of, like, who is he? And I don't think he's yet told himself, I am a football player. Because I think when that settles in, he goes, I am that, he'll tap into all those things that are dormant with him.
Well, obviously, I've seen him over the years. He's a phenomenal athlete.
Yes.
He's got a fantastic looking body. And, most guys would dream to have, the blessings that he has physically.
Yeah.
But it's like, for him to be the best that he, honestly, it is almost I don't want to say sin, but he needs to utilize all the blessings he has,
mm-hmm.
and all the hard work he's put into it, and not waste it.
I agree.
And when he doesn't give his all, he's wasting it.
He's wasting the gifts that God gave him, man. We talk to him.
Yeah.
I think it's the thing is, my wife and I talk to him often about all this, all the time. And I'm not sure at what point it'll click. Like, for example, this is something from yesterday. I'm going to say it, but I'm not going to say all of it. I'll tell you off screen. But I got a call from a prominent TV show maybe 2 days ago. Like, hey, Anthony, we're looking for, casting on this. And it's a big show that he watches. We all watch. It's like a really good show. And so he's just like, oh, wow. Because I alluded to it. He goes, sure, Dad. And I go, hold on. I played the voice message. He goes, wow. Oh. And like, you see his face. And I go, at some point, you're going to understand, like, your dad's kind of dope, man. Like, I fight and I build and I create to do great things. And it's not just so I get, but we all get to experience it. And I said that when you finally listen to me and actually buy into what I tell you about the way to work to get what you want, your life's going to be so smooth and so much more fun. But I said, you battle me, but you don't battle me in the way most people battle, which is outright. You battle me by apprehension or going slow. You don't fully buy into it. So your kind of combativeness is not active, aggressive combative. It's a passive, lethargic combativeness. And I said, if you just buy in, dude, you got a lot of opportunity. And he doesn't quite fully get it yet. And that's the hard part.
Here's what I see. Can I be honest?
Please do, sir. I would like it.
Okay. Anthony, you are so dynamic. You have led an unbelievable life, and you are a shining star on stage. And where have your kids been when you're doing that?
They're usually at home.
Well, I've seen Torian in the stands. I've seen him in the bleachers, right?
Yeah,
he's one of the butts in the seats.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And dad is up shining. Your shine is so great that his comfort zone is being in your shadow, not taking your shine.
I get it. I see that.
And I would say that you need to give him opportunities to shine more than you.
Yeah.
And get comfortable shining, because he's comfortable being in the shadow.
Yeah, we do. The funny thing is, as a unit, my wife and I have talked about a lot of this, because my wife and I have this discussion with my older son sometimes. And she'll point out what she did and what dad did. And I had a conversation privately. I said, our kids no longer need to know about the things that we've done. Like, we don't need to have that be the example. So we need to do a better job. And we had this conversation about us not using ourselves. When I was a kid, right, because it doesn't help them, we need to make sure we point out pictures of what they want to do. And so, like, we need to have conversations. I don't usually put myself on a pedestal. I purposely don't talk about myself now. And this has been the last couple of years now. But even then, like, whenever he goes to the Junior Olympics, I'm not talking about me. This is him. I tell him we're here for you, son. Like, we're here. We all drove up in this RV. We're sleeping in the side of this, residential area in this RV so you can go run tomorrow. And he was the last guy, the last day. I said, we're about to stay the very last day for you. So have fun with this, like celebrate. So we do push him out there. He just doesn't like the limelight. And so here's what I have noticed though. He is usually afraid of, and this is where I don't know if it's good or bad. We can talk this. You may have a good insight on this. I as the coach have to coach him. I also will not take it easy because I know the level he wants to go. They're not going to take it easy. I don't go overboard. I don't do anything crazy, but I coach every single kid the same. I don't take it easy on them. And so I explained to him, like, we're out there. I think he's afraid of getting in trouble. And I go, son, football is going to be a matter of even when you're the greatest in the field, you're going to make mistakes. But you have to understand that coaching isn't anybody not liking you, right? You're not in trouble per se. It's a matter of you getting better. It's not always going to come out a super amazing. Hey, Torian, you know what? You're running really well, but let's try this over here. Like, this isn't kindergarten, I tell him. And so it's him having this understanding, also maturing to understand that whenever I'm yelling a concept that he doesn't shut down completely. Like, he'll do that. I'll coach him. Why are you not back in the deep third? Your eyes in the wrong spot. You got to look here, right? And he does all this. And then the next few plays, he just kind of,
Okay. I've got a suggestion. Maybe you've done this.
Let's do it. Maybe I haven't.
You know, I've had this experience with my sons.
Yeah.
And what I used to do was on the drive to practice, I would say, I'm your dad until we park the car and get out of the car.
Oh, yeah, we do this.
And then I'm going to be your coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then anytime they give me puppy eyes or something like that, and I was harder on my kids than anybody's because I didn't want to play daddy ball.
Same.
And I pissed my kids off multiple times.
Yeah.
And I would say that's what coaches do.
Yep.
That's what coaches do. And the question is, if what I'm saying to a player, whether it's my kid or somebody else's kid, is the intention to make them better? If it is, you have to receive that message.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we get back in the car after practice or after the game, I'm like, I'm dad again.
I do this.
We played that. I do that with JoJo on being his agent and being his dad all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, son, this is your agent talking to you. And he drops into a different state of mind when I tell him that.
Yeah.
He can receive things that he couldn't receive because nobody wants to listen to their dad about anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody thinks they're smarter than their dad. So I think if you already do that, you got to remind him.
Yeah.
Because he's hearing dad, not coach.
Yep.
When he does that little,
on the football field,
plays small.
Yep.
He's hearing dad. I don't care what you told him 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You got to go, I'm your coach.
Yeah.
Listen.
I put it in there. I haven't said the thing of I'm a coach here, but when we get in the car, I just don't talk about things anymore. I don't bring it home. We don't, we may take it to the dinner table if mom asks how practice was, but like, he'll bring friends over. I go back. I'm just regular. I don't want to have that energy here if I don't have to. But on the field, yeah, there's definitely a place for me to step in and be like, hey, listen, I'm telling you as a coach. And sometimes I'll say it every once in a while, like, look, you're not hearing this because I dislike you or anything. You're hearing it because you need to hear this right now. We're about to play this team. And when you're doing what you're doing, you're going to have us get beat. And then everyone's going to be mad at you, myself included, right? So I say those things, but I don't actually delineate and go, hey, listen, hear this as your coach, and then go into the statement. So I can definitely improve there.
Oh, I mean, to this day, I have conversations with both of my boys where I tell them I'm being your dad here.
Yeah.
And then there's times where I'll be talking to Brock and he's at Louisville and I'll say, hey, can I be coach for a second?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give him one message point and I said, I'm done. Because I don't want him to tune me out when I have something valuable to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to tell him I'm in a different role so that he can hear the message, not shoot the messenger.
Makes sense. It does.
So, okay.
Yeah, this whole parenting thing, it's all life too at the same time. All these things we're saying, like while we're talking about our kids, this happens I have clients that are grown men and women who have the same stuff going on, man. They hear things and then like, I'm not related to them, but they hear it. Well, my dad used to say it that way. Yeah, but I'm not your dad, right? Like you're asking me to work with you on this. So when you hear that, maybe we need to take a step back and go, well, was your dad right? And it's a whole other box to open up, But there are some different discussions that this stuff's all human, man.
Well, one of the things that I wish I would have done, if I could go back and do it over again, I would have emphasized more about we are going to make a decision after the game, whether we were successful or not based on the scoreboard, but based on, did you give it everything you got?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all about effort. I can criticize you on effort. I'm not going to criticize you on performance. You missed the ball, you missed the basket, whatever sport it might be. That's okay. You're human.
Yeah.
But did you give me everything you got? Because that's something you have 100% control over.
Yeah.
And if you can get your players, and all of them, to focus on the effort, the wins take care of themselves.
They do. I think it's the one route that I've actually talked to the kids too about. And it's all, again, it's all life stuff, but we're talking about like winning and losing thing. I try to explain to them, like, I never, and they'll tell you this, I never actually care about the win or the first place. That's actually the thing that I will vastly less talk about, but I will talk about the effort or the technique or the attention to detail or how they, because if I get on that, I know for me, if that's the focus, the other thing takes care of itself. But it's trying to get them to execute at a level of your absolute best, which I don't think all people do at all. And they wonder why they don't win. And here's the thing that throws me. When people are mad that they lost or they get sad that they didn't succeed, and then I ask them, or even with the kids, I go, but tell me, did you truly prepare at your absolute best? I go, well, I kind of said, if you did, you'd be like, yes, I did. When you didn't, you know you didn't. So if that's the case, like if I told you to go eat healthy and you didn't, if I said go to bed early and you didn't, if I said catch the football and you didn't, well, when you drop that ball, you can't be sad at yourself. You didn't prepare. You didn't do it. You don't have the right to be all sad and poo butt like this. If anything, be mad at yourself for not having done what you need to do, but not because you dropped it. So little things like that seep in, because I think as grown-ups, we do the same thing. We get mad I didn't get the job, or didn't get the guy, or didn't get the girl, whatever happened, and you start getting mad at the world. And I go, no, it's not the world's fault. It's your fault. You didn't do what you need to do leading up to it. So you don't have the right to be all mad at the rest of the world or somebody else, when if you had done what you had to do, that would have came to you. I mean, I even look back at my own pro career and I go, it could have been more. And if in hindsight, I go, there were things that I should have done differently, could have done more, like could have leaned in. Like there's areas where and I talk to the boys about all the time. There's moments I wanted to quit. You knew about, like, I wanted to quit. I'm like, I'm done with this game, right? And as a man, I can look back and go, that's why I wasn't at a certain level, had all the physical capabilities to do so, the mind to do it. But it's a part of me that didn't get to where it needed to early enough. And so because of that, my career was cut short by injury, but also by just my ability to not be in the right place at the right time because I wasn't that level. So with the boys, I go, look, I want you to learn from the mistake that I can't go fix. I'd have a great life and I love my life. And I think God put me here intentionally to have these thoughts and conversations. But I never want you to go into your life and wish you could have and be mad you didn't get something, when the reality is usually you didn't do what you had to do early enough to be prepared for that moment.
Well, what comes to me is you got to play the game before you play the game.
Yeah.
And that starts in practice. That starts in the dark work.
Mm-hmm.
It starts in visualization the night before the game, things like that. And if you can play the game before the game, then you can have game speed during practice, game intensity, game focus in practice.
Mm-hmm.
In the games, it's easy.
Yeah.
And so what I see with youth sports, all sports for that matter, practice is different. We're just going through the motions here so that we make sure coach likes me and is going to make sure I'm starting and I know what the game plan is. But game time now, that's when I'm going to really turn it up.
Yeah.
No.
Horrible.
If you want to play at the highest levels, and I'm not even talking about pros, even college levels, you have to practice like it's a game.
Have to.
Brock, my son, that was his biggest life lesson when he went to college.
Mm-hmm.
He just knew. I mean, all these high school kids know who's going to, when they call out the ones, everybody kind of knows where to go.
Mm-hmm.
And usually every team has one quarterback. So it's not like you're looking over your shoulder, so you're the guy. So you don't have to kill it during practice. But you get to college, if you can't compete in practice, you'll never be a game day guy.
I agree. 100%, man. This is it's like the human truths that are like from the games that we play. Like sports are a microcosm of the world. But when I got my job my sophomore year at college, I beat out a fifth-year senior for the starting gig. And it's because in my head, it was a game every practice. I kid you not, it was a game. I was on fire, like to the point of like, I was just, people were like, you're doing a lot. And I go, I know, I have to. I gotta make it clear to the head coach why they're going to start a guy who's only been here for 12 months, right? Why would they put him on the field of the guy that's been here about to go to his fifth year? And I did that. And I had that mentality through college. And I'm now coaching a team. And this is the exact same thing we talked about the last 2 days. The team we're playing, they're good. And so our scouts, like our scout team against the defense yesterday was just doing crappy. They're out there offside, did a stop the whole practice, said, guys, if you don't run this full speed, when our defense preparing, they're not going to get a full speed look until the game. So then we're not going to be ready to play in the game. I need you to actually make this a game in your head. You guys got to try to kill our defense as the scouts so the defense gets a genuine look. But that's for preparation, but it's also for the mentality, because now you're not rising to the occasion. My brother's a military guy, and I learned from him, you don't rise the occasion, you fall to your training. So how you've trained is what you settle into your normalcy. You don't all of a sudden rise to the occasion like a Batman and just start figuring things out, right? And even Batman trained. But the idea is you will fall to the level and intensity of your preparation every single time.
Well, something as a coach, and you have such an influence over young men when you're coaching football, is to educate them about the idea of the standard of leave no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And so when how many times do like moms and dads come up to coaching staffs and say, hey, I don't understand why my kid's not playing.
Yeah.
Because everybody, moms and dads typically drop their kids off at practice, show up for the game, buy soda and popcorn, and they want to see their kid play.
Yeah.
And their kid's at the end of the bench.
Yeah.
And so the way you get on the field is you leave no doubt. You separate yourself, you set yourself apart from everybody else so that it doesn't matter if you're the head coach's kid. Everybody's like, yeah, he deserves to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no doubt.
There's none. Exactly. Be so good they can't keep you off the field. We work in the same mentality, and we're not special in this. This is what the game at any level that requires. Is I tell the kids too, like I don't care what your mom or dad are saying in the stands, because I got parents that come out and go, well, why hasn't my kid played the whole game? And I go, just I said, look at my son. He's on the sideline because he isn't performing. So I can tell you right now, while I don't coach your son, our coach has the same mentality. They don't play if they're not the right person for the gig. And I did a whole video before the season and tell the parents, like, if you come to me, I'm going to repeat the same thing. If your kid is so good, we can't keep him off the field, we're good. And don't tell me he was great last year because other kids were working, right? So this is all based on, I want to win games above all in a game day. I don't care about everybody has to play. I don't care. I would much rather not have your kid play and we win the game. Just the nature of the beast. I don't listen, like, as a human, he can come to my house and swim in a pool, hang out. I don't care. This is football, though. And so because of that, make it to it. So, dude, have them come.
I hope the Ducks have a better attitude towards CU on Saturday than they just want to win the game. I mean, they don't have to win the game. They can, serve one up to Prime and let them go 4-0, and you guys can still win the Pac-12 with losing one game.
No, we don't need to do all that. No, don't.
Well, here's the thing about that. The players love to play the game, and they don't understand that all the work they put in is like evidence of whether they should play or not.
True.
And so what players have to realize is that they're building a case. It's almost like in the court of law. They're building up a case to present to the judge, which happens to be the coach,
Mm-hmm.
for why they should play.
Yeah.
Because they know they have unconscious confidence about their playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning they know it in their sleep. They know it better than the coach.
Mm-hmm.
They have shown that they are healthy and mentally ready for the game by how they practice during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I just think too many players just want to show up on Saturday or whenever game day is and show out.
Yep, they do. I hate it. It drives me insane. And it's conditioned nowadays. The kids I play with, they do the same thing. The ones that I coach. And the thing is, it's not even the players sometimes, Craig. I have parents that'll send emails like, my son didn't have fun at practice. Like, what are you talking about? But it's a weird thing. They want to just come and go through the motion Saturday, put their drip on, and then go play at a high level. And you can't function like that. You definitely can't do it in life like that, let them the game. Because then what happens, if you wait till the game day to turn on, I don't know if I'm going to put you in on the game day. I don't know if you're any good. Right? So little things like that, they throw me. But I don't know if it's a cultural thing or if it's been a human thing for a long time. And I'm just finally getting a experience of it in this setting of the world. But it is amazing to watch how things just unfold and how connected sports are to life a fast-paced environment. It just is. It's the same things of life, whether it's your marriage or your parenting or your business or your job you have. The same things pop up: communication, conversations, leadership, teamwork. It all is the same stuff. But you're
It's
usually
all the
not.
same stuff.
Yeah, you're not in the same high-intensity situation to have it be expressed so quickly and so frequently.
Okay, let's jump back to dark work.
Let's do it.
What is the biggest impact that, for somebody out there listening that hasn't really thought too much about dark work?
Yeah.
How is it going to impact them? How's it going to make them better?
Yeah. So the idea is that I want people to show up with what's called a dominator's identity. I want you, and dominators means to govern and to control. It doesn't mean that I'm like dominating everything. You can govern and control your meditation routine, So the idea is I want you to show up and go, I'm in control of this. I got this. I can take, and so to have that, you must build into it. And what I explain to people is you can't have a life above your current identity, or you can't have a life above who you currently are, because who you are, you elicit certain habits, actions, mentality, thought patterns. You're wired a certain way, and that way you're wired has created your life. So if you want more from life, you have to rewire to a higher level. And so what that takes is an experience, because the reason you're wired and we're wired how we are at a psychological, what we think, and neurological, actual brain level is from past experience. That's why coaching helps, because a coach is helping you be aware so you can get a new experience to rewire yourself for what's the correct way to do something. Now, life presents amazing options and situations. Maybe your spouse is telling you like, hey, I need you to be better here. Okay, it's a coach telling you what to do to be better, right? Maybe your boss tells you, hey, I need you to do this better here. Okay, I'm getting insight. Maybe the mechanic's like, go get your oil changed, right? You're getting information to wire, like, I got to do this. And this makes you better. And eventually, you don't have to keep thinking about it. It's almost natural just to do the things the way you do them. So you get to have that life. So when I look at people like that, you say, what's the benefit? The benefit is you wake up one day and you are operating 10 levels above how you are now. And it feels just as smooth as it does in your life right now because you're used to doing it. It's normal. Now, the climb is the crazy part. The climb is the effort. It's the actions and habits you don't typically do. You're not used to doing, but you do them so much that eventually it's who you are to do them. So what I go through is realize that's just putting yourself through more experiences. You subject yourself to different things that are new habits you try, new conversations, new rooms, new friends, new hobbies, new education. And you do it in a consistent, repetitive level to where you at some point are fighting yourself to keep going. But then you do keep going and you keep subjecting yourself to it. And eventually you get so conditioned to it that you get to have ownership of this is who I am now. And when you have that mentality and you operate a higher tick, your habits, actions, mentality, conversation, thought process, you're at this level now. So now that life you wanted, it's yours.
There was a young man that I'm friends with that did a 100-mile race. It took him 24 hours and some change. And just listening to him share the thresholds he went through, and when asked, what was the magic? And he said it was the rituals and the habits and the small things that he started a year ago so that he could accomplish this.
Yeah.
And there were 800 and some contestants and only 300 finished, and he was 58th. And it was his first time, but he ran 4 marathons effectively in one day, one run.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm giving you an opportunity to be vulnerable.
All right.
And real.
All right.
What are a couple things that you've done in the dark that have changed the trajectory of your life, your career, your marriage, your parenting, that 5 years ago, you would have never thought you could have been there where you're at today?
A little more than 5 years ago, I did a lot of these things. So I had a window of time where you were kind of around in the pocket, but I don't think I was expressive as what was going on back then. But I had like a moment where I was like, I don't want to live this thing called life, man. Like, this thing sucks. And it's because it's just a chaotic tornado of life. And I think the hard thing I had to first do was realize that I am the common denominator in all of my problems. So that was the first piece of realization of like going into myself and going, dang, either you created this problem or you've allowed this problem to persist. It's on you, man. You can complain all you want, but it's on you to have it there. So you have to then go and you have to.
That's a sucky place to be, Anthony, when you realize you're the common denominator.
Yeah, right. It sucks in a good way.
Damn.
Though. because you have to
Yeah.
have that realization. Now, what you do with it is even more important, right? So it's like you can do that, and then you can get so deep in the sadness, you can wallow in it, drink it away, smoke it away, sex it away, drug it away, right? You can do all that. And then all of a sudden you're the guy that no one talks to, your different circle of friends, and it's like, I hope he doesn't come around. And that happens to people, unfortunately, probably more often than not. The other way is it becomes an amazing reason to have it as a catalyst to do great things. And so for me, after kind of floating around for a lot of years, I looked at that and go, I'm not supposed to be this guy. I'm meant to be vastly more. I have way more skills and tools and abilities. And so I want to see what those are. And so it led me to doing what I genuinely would call my own dark work. Like I was in a situation, my wife, she stepped out on me, and it was a whole different, direction of life. And she had to, get divorced and all this stuff. And at times, I mean, I would go and talk to the person who she had an affair with, like to figure out, have conversations, to live my life without having this darkness of anger to hurt somebody. I had to find a way to find peace there and forgive. I mean, it's hard.
Anthony, I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. How in the heck did you get the courage to go talk to that dude?
Man, I don't know if it was courage, but it was God, man. I'll tell you that for sure. And I wasn't even that old. This was probably around 31, 32 years old. I think it was around the window of doing this. And here's what it was, to be honest. I had this moment where I woke up on New Year's Day, 2016, and I go, I hate this guy looking back at me. And I started like sitting in a room. I would cut everybody off. I cut women off, no friends. I would just sit at the house and I would not drink. And I would just sit there and I would put a little pillow under my head and I would put my body on this couch I had that faced a wall. And I had these conversations with myself while asking the question to the wall. And I'm dead serious how it took place. I go, why is your business not doing well? And the answers come to you. You don't want them, but I opened the floodgates for them to come to me. And it was clear I wasn't a good business owner at the time. I didn't let people do things. There was no delegation. I wasn't really working at the level I could. Well, why'd your marriage fall apart? Had to answer the real questions. Well, you know what? I wasn't a present husband. I made a lot of promises I didn't follow up on, and I would, distract myself because I got too heavy or too hard. And I wouldn't focus on getting things done. I wouldn't focus on making money the way my family needed to. Hey, why are you not in good shape? You own a gym. And I would blame it on, previously, like, oh, I don't have time. And I'm like, no, I'm at a gym. Make time. Like these little things. And you start getting all this. And then part of it was like, well, what else is going on? Like, why are you like this? Why do you have this depth? And it's like, I'm so mad at my biological mom, the people that stole money from business, that guy, my ex-wife, and all these things. And I go, what I would like to have, and I didn't know the path to get there. I said, what I would like to have is peace. That was it. Like at the time was like, I just want to have peace. And I didn't know. I had no clue how to handle it, what to do. I just knew that whenever I looked at my life, the way that I navigated humans was talking to the humans. That was it. And so I would have conversations with my ex-wife. I would have conversations with the people that burned me. I couldn't talk to my real mom, but I made peace with that, And so a lot of things happened, and it put me in a position where like he was the last one on the docket. I go, I don't know. We would play in the same flag football league at the time, so you happen to be there. Everybody knew where it's a small town, And I remember one evening, I go up, I go, hey man, can we go for a little walk over here and have a little talk, And so I pulled him to the side, and I don't think he knew what was going on because it's like, he don't talk to me like this. Like, what, we're gonna fight, It's a thought. Everybody else was watching, and I kind of got far away, and we had a conversation at the end, and shook his hand and walked off. We're not friends per se by any means, but there was a squaring and clearing of the air to create peace because I knew that my heart needed that more than it needed to hang on to the anger for what took place. Everything that took place, it was kind of back and forth. Like he wasn't a perfect man. She wasn't a perfect woman. I wasn't a perfect man. We had these, we weren't raised with the perfect skill sets. We weren't taught these things. We were not following God in the aspects of life. So like, this is somewhere I wasn't giving people grace and like, it's okay, let off the hook, but I was making a valid assessment of the reality of life, which is people usually don't do things to maliciously to hurt people, right? There's some bad people for sure. But in areas where I've been wronged and hurt, I find that when I really dive in, the person was just hurt and seeking something for themselves. And I was affected negatively as a bystander or, someone on the ride. But it wasn't this intentional desire to purposely hurt me. And it allowed me to give a little more compassion to the people and actually have a little more peace as an opportunity. So like that situation itself granted me a little more reprieve from the anger. And doing so, it's allowed me to come back and be an amazing marriage to my wife, be an amazing father and be present and be a coach and talk to these things and talk about these things when most men who look like me, who have my background, would never do it. And because of that, I become a different shining light for people to have a chance to actually tap into something to get better themselves.
And just for clarity, you're back with your original wife.
Yeah, remarried. Have an amazing marriage. She's dope. We're not perfect. We fight about little stuff here and there, but it's ridiculously strong and anchored.
Well, I've always respected you from the bottom of my heart, and I can tell you that story and that whole situation, that's a 1 in a million guy. You're a 1 in a million guy. And if you can, if you can repair that issue, you can accomplish anything,
I'd agree.
right? I mean, there isn't anything you can't do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I operate, man. That's why I do. It's why I teach what I teach and do what I do. And life becomes more fun because when you get the right things in the right place, you get to actually see what you're supposed to be doing here. When you're always battling darkness and the hardship, you're always playing like a level behind the gate. You know, you're never actually entering into the space of playing the game of life. You're just surviving it. So I'm thankful that I gave whatever that guy back then needed as the push to get to this point now. Because when I'm not having to wake up and going, is my marriage okay? Am I healthy? Are my kids okay? Like I get to actually tap in and go, what did God put on my life to do, and go do that thing?
Yeah, you cleaned up your mess.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Yeah. Wow. Well, one of the things that kind of resonated with me was, they call it the proverbial chip on your shoulder, and players, especially athletes, use it as motivation. When a coach said they couldn't do something, a teacher, a dad, or an absentee father, or just, a friend they thought was a friend really wasn't a friend, but, didn't want him to be successful, didn't want him to shine. And I think that one of the things I've noticed even in my life is that sometimes you hold on to comments that people said that didn't have anything to do with you. The reason why they said it was because of what they were going through, not what you were going through.
Mm-hmm.
But you absorb it,
yeah,
and you carry it, and you let it impact who you are and the decisions that you make, as opposed to letting it go
mm-hmm.
and
True.
freeing yourself of those negative comments.
Yeah,
because especially in sports, if you play sports long enough, you can make a whole page full of comments that coaches and players have said to you that were not positive, that if you believed all those things, you wouldn't be able to get out of bed.
yeah, it's true, man. It's 100% true. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's different, man. It's different. You have to have a centered self of you. You have to have a centered self of self, and you build that self. You build that sense of who you are and what you've done, to where you have the proof you need, to where when somebody tries to counteract it, you can look at yourself and go, yeah, it's cool, but that's not who I know. It's not who I am. Like I do things where I coach and teach people now as my world of speaking, blossoms. I teach other people, like about. And we kind of started doing a lot more paid advertisement, which means you put yourself in front of the world, and the world can chop you up. And you get a lot of comments from people. I got one recently from some guy who goes, well, everybody's paying attention. Do not be misconstrued. The only reason this guy is successful is because he played in the NFL. I go, what kind of craziness are you talking about? Like, if you knew anything about the whole world, it has nothing to do with it. Like, just because I play in the NFL, it has nothing to do with my ability to speak on a stage. Like playing football, we know a lot of guys can't even speak English, it sounds like, when you listen to them talk. So it's this thing where, but then I could go back and forth and argue, but then like they said, the whole thing is if you argue with stupid, anybody watching doesn't know who's who. So just don't do it, right? But I know who I am. I know my sense of self. I don't have to feel burdened by this guy making this statement. If in fact, I feel more sad for the person that's going to listen to this guy and actually believe that and go, I can't do anything big. I didn't play in the NFL. And it's like, that is nothing. That's just, I was great in one area of millions of areas you could be great in life. But that doesn't even equate to why I'm successful at what I do. So don't listen to this guy, because he'll make you think your dream's not capable, because that's what he thinks, But it's a step beyond, because I know me and I can be in that headspace, opposed to I got to fight him to get my sense of self back.
Well, if you look at the guys that have worn the gold jackets, that have gone to Canton, Ohio, Hall of Fame in the NFL, every single one of those guys has had haters.
Always.
Bill Belichick's going to be in that thing when he's done. And, people are saying, hey, since Tom Brady moved on to Tampa and now retired, he's under 500 as a coach. And, I think he's second all time in wins. So it really doesn't matter who you are the reality of it is, the better you're doing, the more successful you are, the more convincing you are, the more hated you're going to be.
100%. It's the nature of the beast.
And it's like climbing a mountain. I mean, you're just, the closer you get to the top, the more demons pop up, the more doubts come in your mind.
Yeah.
Hey, the weather can change. A lot of things can come up. And you got to keep going if you want to get to the top.
Harder to breathe, man. It's hard to even get that air that you had at the bottom that was so full of your lungs. You're just trying to find a way to fight up there. I know. We hiked Pikes Peak together. I remember.
Yes, we did. That was a struggle for both of us.
Yeah, dude. It was crazy. It was fun. Glad I got it done.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a moment to share anything that maybe I didn't ask you, and then kind of share with our audience if they want to find you, if they want to utilize your services as a professional speaker. You've got a lot of awesome programs going on right now. How they can find you?
Yeah. The best way is to go to Instagram at Anthony Trucks. We have the Dark Work brand will launch as soon as the site and everything is completed. We have a lot of things that plug into the site that go out to the world, from apparel to coaching to consulting to assessments and everything. So that looks like it's going to be redone and a little bit later. But that being said, I still do what I do, and I coach and I speak and I talk. And if you go to at Anthony Trucks, you'll find out the kind of the beginning of the trail of all that other stuff I do.
Anthony, thank you so much. Good luck to
Thank you.
The entire family, the twins.
Thank you.
Not just your son, your daughter, your marriage, everything.
Same.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. 5 stars, of course. You can follow us on our website, promindsetpodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.